Hello, Wayne.
Hello. Yes.
Wayne, how you going? You're live on air, book, stage and screen, Win FM, Sound of the West. How you going?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
We just had a chat before with, sorry, it's Sam here. We just had a chat before with Danny about the book's Little Lunch, and so we're very excited to have a chat with you about the screen version of Little Lunch.
Yes, thank you. How did you find Danny? He's pretty prickly, really.
Yes. Well,
you said you'd say bad things about him. What's going on?
Yeah. I got to come clean with that. He's really funny, but wow, he's tricky.
Well, we did talk about him doing
fly.
a cameo appearance, sort of Hitchcock style, on Little Lunch, and he kind of warmed to the idea, but he didn't think that you might warm to the idea.
No, but that makes a lot of sense now that you say that, because he did hang around in the back of the set a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd go over and say, have you forgotten something? Have you left a charger here or something?
He never quite got the hint, did he?
Didn't get the hint.
No. Well, we've when we said that we were going to be doing a holiday school special about Little Lunch, we got a lot of good reaction from the local kids.
Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind us asking a few questions interspersed with ours from them.
Fantastic.
Because they actually have better questions than us.
It's going to be
sadly.
like Lee Sales on the 7:30 report, tearing apart a politician who's just done something bad. So prepare yourself, Wayne.
Now you said the questions are coming from the kids.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, we were sad when we saw how good they were. Now, we were. They want to know what's your favourite thing about Little Lunch. Because we should say that you're writer, producer, director of it, yes?
That's right.
Yes.
The television series was made by myself and my partner in crime and all things, Robin Butler.
Yes.
And Robin and I adapted the books to them to make it into a live action. I think initially they were thinking about making the books into an animation, and I think that Danny and Mitch tried that, and it didn't go forward. And then so we're friends of theirs, and we were talking about it and went, okay, this is possibly, we could see it as a mockumentary, which is a fake documentary, and as a comedy, because the books were laugh out loud funny, and we read them with our kids.
Yeah.
And I think, getting back to that, the question is what we like most is probably the funny nature of them. That they were funny books. They made us laugh, and we always were trying to find books that we could read with our girls that made us laugh and made them laugh, more importantly. And I think that comes across. And also that there's just the gem of that they're just about what happens in the playground from between one bell and the other bell, and they're not, like a lot of kids' TV is someone's in a spaceship, or he comes back as a wizard, or, they're kind of fantastical ideas. This is just, oh no, I lost my glasses in the playground. It's the tiny things that matter a lot.
So it's almost really the Seinfeld of the schoolyard.
That's right. Well, I often, when I was explaining it to adults, because they were kind of, what is it? And I'd say it's the office in the playground. And then people would go, oh, right, I get it.
Yeah.
But exactly, Seinfeld, that kind of, it's about nothing, but it's about a lot. Yeah.
Well, that period, that 15 minutes is about everything to kids, because that's your initial play where your energy is released and all the politics of the playground, as Danny does so beautifully in the books.
Yes.
So you had lots to work with.
We had so much to work with, and and it's so great because everyone knows that playground experience. Everyone knows what it's like to when they're picking two teams and they're doing ip dip dog, and you're picking. They're picking your, pointing at your feet, selecting the team. Everyone knows what that feeling of like, oh no, I'm going to be last, or I'm going, all those intense emotional feelings you have as a child. We all recognise them as being trying to fit in, I guess, and the playground is a microcosm of that.
Yeah, it's great, and it resonates so well with the kids. They love it.
They do, and we get such great feedback. And I think kids are able to identify and go, oh, I'm Rory.
Yes.
I'm Deborah Joe, or I'm just like... I love that part of people always identifying with a particular character, kids identifying with a particular character.
I don't think Rory ever admits that they're Rory. I think it's all the other kids that go, no, actually, you're Rory.
I think a lot of people dob Rory.
Yeah. Now, this is a question from... We're doing Nepotism 101 here today. We've got two of our kids in who are wanting to ask a question. So
Awesome.
Can we... Josh, do you want to ask your question?
Hi, Josh.
Yep.
Yeah, very talkative.
Yeah,
Yeah, Josh, hit me. What have you got?
that's the way.
Did the girl actually burn herself in the episode?
Pavlova.
Pavlova?
Yeah, Pavlova.
Josh has
No,
been
good.
sweating over this for a while. Did she burn herself?
Very good question, Josh. And clearly you're a sensitive person because you're worried about her and whether I went, no, I'm going to make her burn her hand for the good of comedy. The answer is I didn't. It was just that trick, that magical trick that you can do with editing, where you reach for it, the sparkler is going and you reach for it in one shot, and then when you cut to another angle, it's not a light, but it looks like you've just touched it. So no, she didn't burn herself, but I'd made it look like she did.
Okay.
Okay, so we can call off the authorities who Josh was concerned about.
The Child Protection Agency
Yep.
no longer have to investigate me. I want my name cleared, Josh.
Yeah, we
Oh,
won't
good,
press
good,
charges.
good, we'll work on that.
And now a lot of the kids have asked, there's quite a theme amongst the questions, is how did the kids remember their lines? How do the actors remember their lines? Is there a trick as a director, especially for child actors,
Yes.
is there a trick that you can give them to sort of...
Look, we developed a special technique for the show, which was, because it's a mockumentary, which means kids turn directly to the camera and they look down the barrel of the camera and they talk to the audience. What we did was we placed somebody right next to the camera lens so that the kids had someone to look at. And that person was Molly Daniels, who just happens to be our daughter. And kids might know her. She was just in the series Tomorrow When the War Began that was on the ABC.
Yes.
And she was also in the comedy show You're Skidding Me, which was on ABC 3.
Yes.
And she's she's 21, she's really funny, she's really good. And she would coach the kids, our cast. And so when we were setting up shots and doing that, she would sit with them and go over their lines, and then when they got on set, they'd look at Molly and they'd repeat it and she'd prompt them. And often she'd ask them questions to jog their memory. So she'd say, so Deborah Jo, what happened with your glasses? And that would be enough of a trigger to go, oh, that's right, it's that sentence about where my glasses are right now. So we knew we had to come up with a little something to help them along, because it's really hard, as you would imagine. You've got to come to work each day and have learnt these, big chunks of dialogue. And something else that kids might not know is that when kids film on set, we have to provide a chaperone and a tutor, because you're missing out on school. So you have to kind of have a chaperone and a tutor on set to keep all your schoolwork going.
Yep.
And part of what you can do is incorporate some of the line learning and what happens in the episodes into that learning part, and that helped the kids as well.
So was it questions like, if you're on a train going from Sydney to Melbourne and you've lost your lunch, what is your line? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Interesting.
How many cheese sticks would I have if I lost? Yeah.
Well, that's very good.
Okay, we may be contacting Child Protection Services after all, I think.
Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I'm winning some and losing some.
Now, who is this? This is Lu Shang asks, how many cameras do you use?
Good question. We use 2 cameras
Yep.
all the time. So we always film with 2 cameras, and it means that we can get a natural flow of dialogue. So rather than traditionally you shoot in one direction and then you turn around and you shoot the other direction with the other person speaking, I really like for comedy having people overlap each other and for it to be as normal as everyday conversation is, and it's often funnier that way. So I have 2 cameras at the same time. It's more expensive, but it's funnier.
And would you put them as one camera from the same angle, one picking up the wide and the other picking up sort of a medium or a closer shot, or are they at sort of different angles, like 90-degree angles?
That's a good question. They are often, if it's live action, like if we are shooting, say, what happened between Rory and Atticus when they were doing the beat test on the asphalt, they would be at opposite angles. So one would be on Rory and one would be on Atticus. Mm-hmm. But if they were doing one of those interviews to camera and it was just Deborah Jo telling us about something that happened to her, I would put one camera directly that she would look at, and then I'd put the other one, say, on a 90-degree angle and get her from the side, just so if I needed in the edit to smooth something out, or sometimes you've got to speed things up. The episode might be 14 minutes and it needs to be 13, so you need to cut bits of dialogue out. That helps you do those sneaky little edits where you need to trim it down.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you find, is this the first time you have obviously lots of other directing credits?
Yes.
Upper Middle Bogan is one that we all love, and The Librarians, another one we love, and Small Tales and True, which Gordon and I really enjoyed many years ago now.
Yeah.
But this is maybe the first time little kids that you've directed. How did you find that?
I loved it. I found it very challenging. I really loved it. I mean, I had experience because we have kids in Upper Middle Bogan, but they were teenagers. They weren't young children. And we have had kids in our other shows, but not solely children where they are the lead characters. You know, it's all about these 6 children. We only have one. You only ever see one adult in Little Lunch, and that's Mrs. Goncha, the teacher, and everyone else is Mr. Haliotis. You can hear him in the background, but you never see him, and we did that deliberately, that it was the kids' world. And so it was so great filming kids and picking up on their natural rhythms. One of the things we loved and we encouraged was kids never sit still. If you watch a kid in a chair, and you can probably look over at Josh right now, and he'll be swinging on a chair. Or,
ironically, he's actually left the room because he couldn't sit still.
They do not sit still. And we encouraged, when we were filming, that we gave them props, we gave them things to do. Here, you build a sandwich while you're talking to me, or here, just flick this stick around as they do, or do something. And I loved that energy. Adults tend to be much more formal and stand there, and then as performers they kind of stand with their hands by their sides, and I loved kids and the energy they brought to that, and we kind of encouraged that. So that was a big difference with what that was. And plus kids are incredibly honest, so you get a very raw reaction, emotional reaction from them, which is adorable and hilarious.
Yeah. That's great. Now we have other questions about and some technical questions, which is kind of interesting. That even in grade 3, how did you use green screen at all in the filming?
There's one piece of green screen in an episode where Mrs. Goncha is stuck upstairs with the school bell, and she's hugging the school bell.
Yeah,
and even though the school that we shot at, which is very old school, it's the Kilda Primary School, and that does have a school bell, but we weren't allowed up there because it was old and I think filled with asbestos and dangerous. So, see, this is another note for child protection. I didn't go up there.
So you sent a child up, yes.
A child up to inspect it. And they came down and said, it's really stinky and horrible. Okay, we won't do it. So we did green screen, and we built a bell, and we had green screen for that little excerpt there. So that's a little bit of inside knowledge that was filmed actually in the school gym, but tricked up to be as if it was up the top of the school.
Oh, excellent.
So you and Robin, your wife Robin, Robin Butler, you're both on Instagram. Now I looked it up. You're on 861 followers.
Yes.
And she's on 1,654 followers.
And your point is?
Well, why is that? Is she just more approachable, more friendly, easygoing? Why is she attracting more followers? Basically, is
she buying them or she?
Yeah, they're all from.
She's just got the social thing down. My social feed. I'm just more. I think I'm boring. I like technical things. I like, I think this morning I put up something from a sound mix about how I was sound mixing something. Who wants to hear about that? Nobody. I have no Robin is across pop culture. She knows what's happening where, and she can talk about that. I know nothing. My girls can mention something to me about Beyonce's new album, and I feel proud of myself just then because I was able to reach for Beyonce. But that's pretty much the limit of my pop culture. So Robin deserves a wider reach because I'm a narrow nerd.
So you're saying that your daughters don't follow you and they follow Robin?
No, it's super uncool to follow me from my daughter's perspective. Yeah. Some of their friends do, which really embarrasses them.
Now, what was some of the other questions we had? How many days does it take to make an episode? So you've got about 28 of them now, have you? 28
yes,
episodes?
we do.
Yeah.
Generally, we had about 2 days per episode.
Okay.
To film it, so it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's about the going rate. About 2 days. Sometimes we'd sneak a little bit more, but on average it was 2 days an ep.
And is that you're only allowed to film? Do you split the children up so you can film a longer day, or how do you work?
Yes, it's quite hard. You have you although the filming day is 10 hours, children can only work for 8 hours.
Which is criminal, by the way. Criminal.
It's weird. It's different when they were digging coal.
Yeah.
16
hours a day minimum for these kids.
Hey, and, just send the water down to the kids rather than have them stop every hour for 5 minutes. This was very tricky. So thankfully the show had a little device where, say, in an episode where one person sits down and talks to camera, we would reserve those pieces to either the start of the day or the end of the day so that one of the children could come in and do those pieces, and then we could get into the live action stuff in the remaining time. But it's always a juggle, and was the most challenging part of doing a children's show is trying to make the hours work.
Yeah.
But thankfully we had a device within the show that helped that.
Well, the kids at our school were very interested to know if the other kids from St Kilda Primary School, are they extras in the background of the show?
Some of the time they are. Like if it was actual recess or lunchtime, they are all in the background. And we asked permission from all kind of 500 kids at the school and their parents if they minded being in the background, and if they didn't want to, they weren't. But if they did, we just let them play. So if they at lunchtime they would all pour out into the yard, and if we were pointing that way, that was great. The difficulty was when they all disappeared and went back inside, and we were still filming outside. It needed to look like a playground.
Yeah.
So we had a pool of about 50 extras. Our other cast members who were great, and they were with us the whole time, so they would fill out the background when the kids weren't there.
Okay. Well,
so are you looking, we have mentioned that there's a Halloween special and a Christmas special coming up in the next couple of months, obviously Halloween, Christmas.
Yes, just around the corner.
Is there plans for more episodes?
At this point, look, kids may notice from when they watch the Halloween and the Christmas episode, what tends to happen with kids around the grade 5 area is that they grow about 1.5 foot in 10 minutes and suddenly they've got a beard and sound like they're going to university. And that's what happened to Deborah Jo. No, I'm kidding. That's what happened to our kids. Grew enormously in the 12 months between making the shows. And what happens now is that they are no longer primary school kids. They are all in high school, and so they can't be in any more Little Lunch just physically.
Yeah.
So the series, I mean, and we kind of addressed that with people that will see the Christmas special. Okay. We also made that Christmas special about graduation time, which has become a very big thing in schools now, is that kids celebrate graduating at the end of grade 6. So we wound that into the story and made sense of these kids kind of leaving primary school. Okay. So it is an end for those kids in that show. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that Little Lunch couldn't live on with other children, but we don't have any plans for that in the immediate future.
Well, there were a heap of kids that were in the books that aren't in the series. So is there a chance for their stories to shine?
Possibly not. When we chose to, from the books, we actually amalgamated some of the characters together because for efficiency, and so we probably mined everything that was in the books. We kind of, I think we kind of mined most of that. It would have to be thinking up a whole new bunch of ideas, but we haven't gone down that path yet.
Well, I'm sure Danny would be up for the challenge of coming up with new characters. He seems very excited about writing about Little Lunch forever.
Absolutely. And he'd do it so he could appear on set again in the background.
Yes, even if it's just his feet.
Yeah, you could do a very funny episode with the kids going, "Who's that man standing over there in the background?"
I know. It's creepy. That should be in the Halloween episode, the creepy episode.
Yeah, creepy guy in the background.
Yeah,
that'd be hilarious.
Now, I guess while we've got you here, we can ask you about Upper Middle Bogan, because...
Which is probably more our show rather than Little Lunch, to be honest.
I have watched Little Lunch.
We love
I enjoy
that show.
it. But Upper Middle Bogan we also enjoy. So can you tell us about the upcoming series that's about to start?
It starts October 12th,
yes.
Wednesday night, 8:30 on the ABC. It's the third season, and we think it's the kind of... Robert and I think it's the kind of best season yet. The cast were delighted to be back, and it seemed had such terrific energy, and the episodes, we took on some new challenges. They're kind of bigger stakes than we've had before. There are some new partners, little scoop, coming to the families that will be introduced, and some new story arcs that are there. And we took on there's some large stunts. We haven't done, we've had big stunts before because of the drag racing element of the show, but we've taken that up a notch again this season, and I think it's a great season.
Oh, great. Well, we look forward to that.
Well, it's the funniest show that we do here in this country. I noticed that you're exporting it to America. Is that right? But it's called something else. That's right. Well, the local version, our show, the Australian version, is shown in the US via Hulu, which is like Netflix, the competitor of Netflix, and it's shown there and has done since the first season. It does very well there. It is called something else there, called Best of Both Worlds, which was because the people that sold it were worried that no one would know the word bogan, which I think now that it's become part of the Macquarie Dictionary, we can probably get away with it, I would think. And so it's screened there, and it's also screened in various other countries around the world. But then the Americans also, this year, we did a pilot of the Americans remaking it, which was a fascinating exercise, and Robin and I were both there and involved in producing and writing that, and that was a really interesting exercise, and we'll see what happens with that.
Fantastic. So, is it a much bigger machine over there, I imagine, the whole process?
It's very different, as you know. I think in the state of California, the entertainment industry is over a third of the economy. It's absolutely enormous, and whereas here it's just a cottage industry by comparison, and it is to see the scale of it there, and we were working on the studio lot there, and you walk down the studio lot and you see all the streets that you've seen on every show since you've been a kid, and it's just enormous and fascinating for me on a technical level, and we really enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
So did you name her Bess specifically so you would know down the track you could use that Best of Both Worlds title, or was that just a happy accident that you...
That was just a happy accident. A desperate accident reaching for it, and that was Robin's idea actually, because we were trying to come up with another title, and everyone automatically goes to, can you use redneck? And you go, no, it's not redneck. Redneck's a very different connotation. There is no word that can immediately drop in, so Robin cleverly came up with that, which was a really elegant solution.
Well, she earned her pay that day. That was a clever thing.
And again, that's why she's got more followers.
Exactly.
All comes back to that.
Well, wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you're really busy at the moment with all your shows coming up and probably more projects on the go. Is there another movie? You had now Ad Honey last year. Is there another movie on the
We don't have another movie. We're just finishing off Up Middle Bogan, and then we've started writing some new things, which we hope to that will come to life maybe next year.
Fabulous. We look forward to that. You'll have to come back and talk to us all about it.
We'd love to.
And we'll even follow you on Instagram just to boost those numbers.
We're already all over Robin, so that's possibly enough at this stage. We won't.
Thanks so much, Wayne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.